Good morning, and welcome to First Unitarian Universalist Church of Rochester. We're a church of open minds and loving hearts, celebrating many sources of wisdom and many spiritual paths. Your faith, your doubts, your questions, your hopes, your identities are welcome here. Welcome to visitors and newcomers and those online as well. We're glad you're here. Throughout the morning, this is a little bit of a special or a different service, so children are welcome to stay with us for the service, and if you haven't figured out, there's a special, very colorful place down front here for kids if you'd like to gather up here. There's also a preschool playroom open for young ones as well for the morning. You can find information in the order of service about upcoming events and ways to get involved in the life of the church. And after service, you can join us down in the Commons for a reception, which I'll say more about in just a moment. All are welcome. Today is a special Sunday in multiple ways. This week, this church has been filled with Chalice Camp, several campers learning about the values of generosity, justice, pluralism, and love, creating community together. So today's service will reflect a little bit of what we did for worship each day in this space with all the chairs pushed back and the floor open. We thought you might like the chairs back for this morning, so you're welcome. So it'll reflect a little bit of how we gathered this week, so you can experience a little bit of Chalice Camp this morning. So that will include a little more casual summer style, as you might notice, but also rooted in embodiment and some invitations to some action and sounds, a different way of being together in multi-generational communities. So we invite you to lean into that as you're comfortable or willing, and it'll be okay. So there are coloring sheets for kids or adults and crayons around. Help yourself to those to be able to move and to react and to color. Thanks to all the volunteers who helped with the camp this week. Also, thanks to all those who are helping with logistics for today's reception setting up and for the beautifying of the church grounds yesterday. It really does take a whole community to care for a whole community. And today is a special day as well as we celebrate in our music and the reception after the service to honor Connie Schuelka. Connie retired from her music position here in 2020 in the midst of pandemic, which was not the best time to have a communal celebration, and just retired from her finance position this summer after more than 30 years of service. Connie, so far, So far, the governance of the church has not completely imploded since she's retired, but it's only been a few weeks. We are so grateful that she has offered such dedication over the years and in this time of transition, setting up Amy well, so that we are held so well in the care that she's given for so long. So we are so glad to celebrate with you, and also glad that you're up there offering music too, of your many gifts, all the keyboards. This morning. So thank you for being here to celebrate Connie's retirement. So join us after service for a special reception downstairs. Thank you also to Matt Schuelka for offering music today, and the choir and all those offering their voices and their skills and gifts in song. Our justice partner throughout this month is Boundless, and I'm glad to welcome Jacob Schuler, the executive director of SemCell, up to speak about their work. Jacob, you're right there in front of me. Come on up.
Good morning, everybody. First, I have to apologize for my outfit. I wish I had tie-dye on this morning. You guys look fantastic. I don't think I've been in as colorful of a church before, so thank you very much. I just wanted to say thank you for all of you to partner with us this month with your offering. We will use that resource to help low-income families or people who can't afford to come to Boundless to come and play and experience our building and our setting. For those of you who haven't been to Boundless, I'm hoping a lot of your kids have. I don't know. Can you guys show me with your hands if you've been to Boundless before? What's your review of it? You guys into it? Yeah, good. We built Boundless to create an accessible play space for all kids. Oftentimes, play spaces, especially outdoor play spaces, are very difficult for people with disabilities to access. We've all been to parks where there's wood chips and pea rocks and sand and all those things. That makes it very complex for a child or a parent with mobility issues to participate in that work. We made sure all of our equipment was accessible for all people, or at least as accessible as possible. And we certainly invite anybody who's interested in coming and viewing what we've done there to maybe get some ideas or use it as an example to increase accessibility in their designs. I know that you guys are building a new church here soon, and I understand a colleague of mine, at least one of them, is helping do some consulting on that. You are in good hands with Rob. He will help make your building more accessible. I just wanted to make a note of conversations that I've had with Rob and other members of my team. We worked really hard to try to figure out how to position and talk about Boundless. And Rob's point of view was we should just call it a park. And maybe we should just call it a park and not an accessible park. Maybe we should just call them buildings, not accessible buildings, or doors and not accessible doors. But that is a work in progress, and I certainly thank all of you because your partnership with SEMSIL and Boundless this month certainly indicates that you share a similar vision, that parks should be parks and doors should be doors and all are welcome. So thank you very much, and I look forward to meeting as many of you as possible in the social hour following. Thank you.
And to show our support for Boundless, next Saturday is our fourth Saturday park play date, and we will be holding that at Boundless. So if you have been participating in those, watch for an email from me to come out this week. The church is going to be providing 2 day passes or 30-day passes for families of our congregation who might need them. So families, watch for that email to come from me in the next couple days. But that is just to help support this amazing opportunity, this amazing park.
Thanks, Amy. Thanks, Jacob, for being here. So I invite you to enter this time of worship by taking a deep breath. As we hear these words from our minister in the 1870s, the Reverend Eliza Tupper Wilkes. May our faith in humanity and our message of hope and good cheer light our way. It's good to be together. Each day at Chalice Camp, we would take many deep breaths in worship, and so we'll begin that way. After you have a chance to greet and say hello to folks, you'll be called back by the ringing of the bells, and the bells invite you into silence and breath, and then that will lead us into the bells of our opening hymn. You'll notice in your order of service, you are called to have some fun responses in the opening hymn. So on the first 2 lines of each verse, in the first verse to response with roars, your favorite animal roar, and then the second verse with a woof, kind of the wind, and then the third verse, a whoosh for water. And so you'll hear da 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 roar, like that, all right? So there'll be a little pause. I expect it to be loud and chaotic. So thank you for participating. So that'll come in just a second. The bells will call us back, but before that, I invite you to rise in body or spirit and greet those around you. want to invite our chalice lighters, the 4 chalice lighters. You can go on up. And Chantel is going to light the chalice here. And I want all the chalice campers to stand, to rise, and face this beautiful, wonderful big group of people that you are going to help teach our chalice lighting to. Many of you know this as well. You can give a wave. Hello. They're friendly, I promise. They really are. Both are friendly. So each week we say for our chalice lighting, this is the Unitarian Universalist Church. This is the Church of the Flaming Chalice. This is the Church of the Open Mind. This is the Church of the Loving Heart, where friends come together and share. Thank you. And you can be seated.
This past week was our 14th Chalice Camp, themed as Creature Camp, both real and mythical. Our campers practiced 5 main values throughout the week: generosity, equity, justice, pluralism, and love. We incorporated music time with Rose and worship led by Reverend Luke, Rose, and Joe. On Friday, we had a special guest, which was Corey Hill Nature Center, who brought their turtle and snake program, 2 snakes and a box turtle, and taught us about some of their resident creatures. I am forever grateful for all of our volunteers and especially for our amazing counselors. We would not have been able to make camp happen without them.
And a huge shout out to our Camp Daily Director, Chantel Feddersen, and our 4 senior leaders. This year I took a step back and was kind of more behind the scenes with daily direction being handled by Chantel and 4 senior leaders who were graduated seniors from high school who opted to come back this year and want to come back again next year because it's been such a great experience. And I have to say 2 of those 4 graduating seniors were at the very first Chalice Camp and have come all the way up as campers, leaders in training, counselors, and now we're basically co-directing this last week. We also had 10 amazing senior and junior leaders: Daria, Kyle, Jasper, Rose, Kyla, Sylvia, Liv, Aaron, Trigvi, and Jameis. And they run the show also. It is just one of those amazing things that comes together. So in addition to learning about values, our campers also packed over 150 bags of essentials for Hawthorne Helps. I don't know, I've lost track of how many years we've done this, but it is our Wednesday thing that we do on Wednesdays. We pack bags for Hawthorne Helps. Our oldest campers are arachnids who are going into middle school, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, learned how about leadership and even baked some cookies for family night on Thursday, and they were delicious. And each year, our church community grows and our bonds are built across generations. We have multi-age groups in camp, we have age groups in camp, but it's all to build this community where they can all sit together and they all know each other. We had over 20 adult volunteers throughout the week who helped with various things from watching during lunch to washing the cookie baking dishes. And it just is such a way for us to build community. And I am so grateful that I've been able to direct for the last 4 years. Next year, mark your calendars in pencil till January, will most likely be July 14th through the 18th. And it is for any incoming kindergartners through, clearly high school and college now. So, yeah. But and I'm just gonna end by saying it is in the spirit of this community that we will now receive the offering.
So all week while we would gather in here, we would take a pause. Sometimes we'd spread way out and then invite folks. There's not enough room for you to do it here, but we'd sit crisscross applesauce, and then you'd reach your arms out to the sides and try to have enough room. And then sometimes, if you needed to, you'd lie down and look at the dimmed lights that would remind you of the stars, and then we'd also feel the floor beneath us, because campers, what are we made of? What are we made of? Earth and stardust. If they remember anything from this week, that is all I want them to remember. So first we'd find our breath. So I invite you to find your breath. Feel your breath, chest or belly. Take a deep breath in. Breathe deep the breath of life. And you scoop the earth and catch the stars. And then you find your breath in the center. Breath in. Breath out. Deep breath in. Breath out. Sometimes we'd hold our hands up toward the sky, or down on our knees, or just set them together in some way to center ourselves. I invite you into this time of meditation, this time of prayer, first by sharing silence and breath together. Spirit of life, source of love, God of 1,000 names and beyond all naming. Sometimes in the hectic freneticism of life, this busy life, these busy days, with so much calling to our hearts, of people to care for, of things to fix, of things to fear. Sometimes it's hard to remember that we are made of earth and stars. The stars can feel so far away. Help us remember that right under us, always, and right around us in the very air that we share together, we are connected generations past to ancestors who come before us. We are connected across time and space to people and places around this planet and into the heavens. We are part of the larger family of all souls. If we remember that, then perhaps we might act with a little more kindness. We might demand a little more justice. We might find our gifts to offer to a world that is in such need of healing and hope and love. I invite you to bring the names you're holding in your heart this day in joy or in sorrow, and silently or loud now in this space to speak their names. For all the names spoken and all that are held in the silent sanctuary of our hearts, may we be forever grateful. May we be held in grace and in love. Amen. The hymn is Bright Morning Stars. The lyrics are on the back of your order of service. I invite you to remain seated as we sing together. I need your help. Grab your poem. And I invite you to stand up and make a line from here this way, facing that way. Each year we choose a poem to help guide our reflections and begin to weave into our hearts some words that might serve us well for our whole lives, whether we remember the words or just the sentiment. And so Rose and I will help, and the campers will speak loudly and confidently in their preaching voice the bold words on the page. An excerpt from Joy Harjo. Put down that bag of potato chips, that white bread, that bottle of pop. Turn off that cell phone and that computer and that remote control. Take a breath. By friendly winds. Breathe in. Breathe out.
If you sing, it will give your spirit lift to fly to the stars' ears and back.
And for this part, you can place a hand on the part of your body that it mentions. Let go of the pain that you are holding in your mind, your shoulders, your heart, all the way to your feet, and ask for forgiveness.
Call upon the help of those who love you. These helpers take many forms.
Animal, element, bird, angel, saint, stone, or ancestor. Welcome your spirit back from its wandering. It may return in pieces, in tatters. Gather them together, and now you can have a party.
Invite everyone you know who loves you and supports you. Then, keep room for those who have no place else to go. And you must do this.
Help the next person find their way through the dark. Amen. sing on, indeed. So the poet says, gather everyone who loves and supports you. Make room for those who have no place else to go. And then you must do this. Help the next person find their way through the dark. So a long, long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, a people gathered in increasing darkness. They gathered each night as it seemed like the darkness kept growing, as if the stars themselves were starting to slowly go out. They gathered in a time and a place that they had such little food, a time of scarcity. And there in the darkness, they'd gather each night out of necessity to be together, but their being together was not easy. Their being together was not always joyful, and they'd gather around their little fire. And you would hope that there they would feel free and open to share with each other what they needed, so that they wouldn't be hungry or lonely or scared. But the growing darkness and the small fire made them quiet to share with each other. So they gathered around their little fire, only being able to see that flame and what was inside the circle. Because we know when you gather a circle too tight, all you see is what is in the center. And if there's something illuminating from the center only, all you see and experience is what is right there. So some, because they were embarrassed or because of shame, wouldn't share that their baskets of food were empty or broken, that they were struggling. And others, whose baskets were full of resources, of food, well, they covered them up in the darkness because they were afraid that if they started sharing, they would have none left. And so they kept gathering in something that felt like increased darkness, until a young child in the circle, it's almost always the children who point us to something else, some other possibility, said, "Look up there." And they looked outside of their circle, and they saw a star far in the sky that seemed like it was just coming back to life. And then another child in the circle turned around and looked, and they saw another star in the sky, and then another child and another child and another child turned from their dark circle there and noticed the stars of the heavens. And eventually, the elders started to do that too. Sometimes it takes grown-ups a little longer than kids to notice something of wonder and beauty. So all these people gathered around their fire that were a little uncertain, a little afraid, started turning around to notice something beyond them. And in one quarter, they noticed a beautiful forest that they really hadn't seen before because they were so focused on either saving their food for themselves or trying to find some other way to eat. And another corner saw waters and a river and a stream, and another corner looked and they saw a beautiful, sweeping, open desert. And another saw prairie grasses flowing in the wind. And so the circle opened. And they made sure that in each group, which this week was red, green, yellow, and blue, they made sure that there was enough food for each group to go. And they got their baskets and they mended their baskets and they went in different directions. Some went by way of water, And they traveled a day and then weeks. Some went by way of desert, traveled a day and weeks. Some went by way of forest, traveled a day and then weeks. Some went by way of prairie and traveled a day and weeks. And they traveled for weeks and weeks and weeks and years and generations and generations and years and years and years and years. And they traveled through because they were trying to find paths up this mountain that they saw, this mountain that scraped the top of the sky and the stars. And they traveled each in their own ways. And over the weeks and the years and the generations, they developed their music and songs. They gathered food and found ways to care for each other, because as you travel, you need to care for each other. And they told stories to lift their spirits. Some had gifts for cooking, some had gifts for art, some had gifts for music, some had gifts for just traveling, some had gifts for healing, some had gifts of care and love. And so they traveled years and years and years up this mountain. And over that time, they developed their own stories, their own music, their own food, and their own symbols. And it looked a little bit, if you crank your necks, like that piece of art on the back wall. They brought their symbols up this mountain, and they each believed that their symbol helped them live a more beautiful life and make the world more beautiful. And once they gathered there, they put all their symbols together, and some of them thought ours is the best symbol, or some said ours is the best symbol, and others said ours is the best symbol. Is that right? No. Over time, as they told their stories and shared their food, they broke bread together and cared for each other, they realized all these symbols was a gateway of beauty. And so they gathered on this top of the mountain. They built this thing out of brick, and they forgot the windows. And so then they said, let's add a little light in here, because we gathered in darkness for too long. And they busted open a wall and put one of the symbols, and busted open a wall and put another symbol, and busted open a wall and put another symbol, and the light filtered in, each of it adding beauty and light. They gathered there, and they remembered back to their circle in the dark and how they felt scared or alone, or they kept their things for themselves. And then they found, when they were filled with the images of so many stories, that it was only when they shared more stories and more music, more light, and more images, that they understood how much beauty could be held in the world. So one last story that you remember from this week. So they always kept their circle open, always looking to the stars, most of the time led by children. And then if anybody came to visit, that they would make and keep room for those who had no place else to go. They would come by train, and they would gather up here, because eventually now it's like the Industrial Revolution, and there's railways and all this stuff. Things kept developing. So they came by train, and one cold day on the top of the mountain, one of the elders put on their warmest gloves, got on the train to welcome some of the visitors, and brought them into this place. And then when they got off the train, were about to send them on their way, they realized what? They lost one of their gloves. But the train had started going. They weren't going to be able to catch up. They had one hand that was warm with their glove, and the other that was now lost on this train. What did they do? Took off their glove and threw it in the window so that someone might find them both for something they didn't need anymore, to bless a stranger on their way. That's what Joy Harjo is writing about. That's what we have to do each and every day, is it not? To just repeat these words over and over, that all of these creatures are our family. Animal, element, bird, angel, saint, stone, ancestor. We gather them together, and that's when you can have a party and you invite everybody who loves and supports you, but you always leave room for those who have no place else to go. And then, what do you have to do? Help the next person find their way through the dark. To him as love will guide us. Invite to rise in body or spirit as we sing. I invite you to take a deep breath. Scoop the earth, catch the stars. Big breath in, big breath out. On our first day together, I taught the campers about ancestors and how one ancestor taught me how to open my hands toward the sky whenever I was in church to sing or to pray or to meditate. And so I'll often do that up here. So now they know when they see me up here, they're like, what is he doing with his palms up to the sky? It's because I'm remembering a dear ancestor who also taught me this verse to that last song we sang. And I offer this to you as our blessing. You are like no other being. What you can give, no other can give. To the future of our precious children. To the future of this world where we live. May that be so. Amen.